Recording in progress. What's that right there? There's some really good stuff, bro. For Drew, he's gonna tell you about all the benefits. And I just said this.
Nice. I like seeing everyone in there, and we're like, okay, cool. So we're now this little like mini community.
Or like who's here, who's attending and stuff. Yeah. So making sure everything's going. All right. There's the controller.
You have trainees. I love it.
Yeah.
You guys hear me?
Yes.
Hear me well? All right, let me see. Can you see me right on the board? Is this clear?
Yes.
Very nice, Smiley.
Okay. All right, guys. So I want to introduce myself first. My name is Drew. I'm one of our GAs. I've been with American Income for 5 years now. Started back in Pittsburgh with everybody there. Moved out here when we first started the agency. And today what we're going to be doing in training is a lot of like knowledge-based stuff. So it's all the no cost benefits. All right, we're going to break down every single one of them, you know, kind of explain how to present them and what we're trying to get from them, if that makes sense. All right. So the first thing about the no cost benefits is that you're not going to get paid for dropping off child safety kits or will kits. Okay. Want to put that out there first off. Don't be a no cost delivery person. What I mean by that is you're there for a reason. You're there to help them with their permanent benefits. All right. The no cost benefits that are associated with our company are there because we don't advertise. Right. They're there to build trust in our company and to build up our company. Right. So the main reason why the child safety kits exist is because we work with the police and teachers unions. Right. So the real thing I'm getting at to start there is just, guys, make sure that when you are presenting the no cost benefits that you're doing them in a way that's going to benefit you and benefit them. Right. Now, there's no like super defined strict way to present, you know, the order of the no cost benefits. Like every team is a little bit different. And the way I do it, I've been, you know, like I said, I've been in the inner city. I worked in Philly, worked in Pittsburgh, ran a lot of child safe. That's usually what I go over first with most people. Most people have kids or know people with kids, right? I usually go, when I'm going over the no cost benefits, like least intrusive or least about in life insurance to most about life insurance. If that makes sense. It kind of gives them a steady process to walk through, right? Now, there's 3 things that you want to remember to do with every single no cost benefit. All right, the first thing is make it important. Use facts and stories. All right. The second thing, and I know I'm in the way, but I'll get out of the way in a second. The second thing is to explain how it works. Like walk them through it. All right. And then the third thing you're going to do is collect referrals. All right. So you have to follow this order though, right? There's a lot of reasons why you don't get referrals. One of the big ones is because you don't make it important to them. All right. Or they don't understand how it works. So if you don't have these first 2, you're never going to collect any referrals. All right. It just makes sense. All right. So I'm going to kind of every single one of the no cost benefits for you guys. I'm going to walk you through how it works. and then kind of explain how I explain it, right? So, and then we're going to do a kind of a big thing on the child safe referrals. All right. So the first benefit I usually go over with everybody is the child safe ID kits. Okay. So you guys give me 1 second. I'm going to pull it up here, so you guys can actually see it on the screen.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I actually have a quick question, if that's all right.
Sure. Yeah.
So when we see those 3x5 yellow beneficiary cards, and then they say that they're requesting 3, let's say, of those child safe kits, and in the meeting itself, you know, we kind of don't cover it or something along those lines. You know, obviously I'm not presenting, but is that mandatory for us to cover? Is it, you know, something that we'll end up sending to them anyway? You know, kind of what's the process behind that there?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And it's Gina, right?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, it's a very good question, Gina. Not everybody's going to get every one of the no-cost benefits, right? You'll kind of feel through rapport about which benefits that'll, you know, help them the most and which benefits will be the best for that member. You know, so like if you're sitting down with like a 68-year-old retired guy and he's single and he's by himself, doesn't have much family, like I wouldn't waste my breath going over the child safety kits. You know what I mean? Like he has no need for it. He's not going to see a need in it, right? But you'll get to that point in your career and you'll get that feeling, right? Now, I usually go through it every time, no matter what, just because you just never know what people have, friends with kids, or they have stepkids or grandkids or something like that. But for instance, just to kind of answer your question, if it says on the card, like their response card, that they need 2 child safety kits, then I would make sure I went over the child safety kits 100%. I would have, in fact, asked in rapport, it looks like on your card that you requested 2 child safety kits. Are they for your kids or are they for, you know, grandkids or something like that? So I would put it right out of bat, right up front. You know, I'm probably one of the more transparent people that does a presentation. I mean, I'm pretty crystal clear with them from the get-go that I'm going to go over life insurance. Like there's no ifs, ands, and buts about any of that. I do walk them through all the benefits, but I say life insurance 5 or 6 times in the first 10 minutes, you know? So you always want to make sure that you know, you're transparent with them. But hopefully that answered your question. I would always go over what's on the card. Yep.
Absolutely. I love the idea of putting it into the report. That's phenomenal. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, no problem. Okay. So can you guys see that on the screen there? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I had that's what the child safety kit looks like. And if you can see me in person too, that's what it actually physically looks like. It's like in a little plastic bag, right? And it opens up and it's like a trifold. So it opens up. So if you open it, that's what the back would look like. And then this is the next page would be what the inside would look like. So it's the same exact thing that I would show you here on the back. Same thing, right? Now, the introduction to the child safety kit is probably the most important thing about it. You kind of have to throw a lot of stats at them and get them to open up about experiences about what they've had to go through. Or if you guys have kids yourselves, use it. Like, not saying you're to take advantage of your kids, but you've been through situations to where if, you know, you were at the grocery store and you went through your purse and you went to go pull out your wallet and pay the cashier, and then you put your money back in your wallet and your purse and your kid was gone. Like that took what, 5 seconds? That's all it really takes, right? I don't know if anyone here has had that experience before, but I grew up with 5 brothers, right? My mom, I still remember what she used to say when we used to go to the store. She's like, I'm not buying nothing for you. You're not getting nothing. Stop crying. You know, all that stuff. So what we used to do when we go to department stores, we would just immediately spread out and play hide and seek, right? It's not a good time for my mom. So it happens, guys. But the child safety kits, the way I introduced it is I asked them right up front. I'm like, Mary and Joe, I'm sure you know some people with kids, right? Or if they have kids themselves, I'm like, these are going to be perfect for your kids. The first benefit they set up for you was the child safe ID kits. I'm sure you know some people with kids, right? If you don't know, you should know if they have kids or not, right? You should build good enough rapport for that. Grandkids, nieces, nephews, that type of thing, right? So the main reason that we have these is we take care of them for the police and teachers unions. The International Police Union seal is right on the front of it. All right. So this is one of the main reasons why we go over this, because we handle the benefits for the police associations. And it's their campaign to get as many of these child safety kits out in the community as possible. I say that in the first couple seconds. I'm trying to already put in their mind that I need more people to go see, right? So and after that, I kind of just break down stats for them. You know, the craziest stat is that last year, 500,000 children went missing or got abducted, right? Out of those 500,000, if those kids don't come home in the first 24 hours, 93% of the time, they don't come home at all. Right? So that first 24 hours is so crucial to finding a kid. Now, the reason why this kit was designed is it takes the sharpest parent or grandparent anywhere from 4 to 6 hours to find all the information the police need to start a search. You got to think about where the mother or the father is during this position. They're not in the right mindset. They just don't know where the kid is. They're not thinking about height, weight, eye color, hair color. They don't have a DNA sample. They don't have their fingerprints. They're searching through the house to find this stuff. Why that's important, guys, is every single minute that the child is away from the home is 1 mile further that could be away from the home. Right? And in Illinois, the state we're in right now, it's ranked number 9 for the 9th worst places for child abductions in America. So we're in the top 10 for bad. Not a top 10 you want to be in. Right? I came from Pennsylvania. It was 5. Right? Huge problem there too. So the kit's designed to save that parent or grandparent all that time, because if something happens to your kid, you're not thinking height, weight, eye color, hair color. You're thinking, oh my God, where are they at? Who are they with? Why aren't they answering their phone? Right? It's a panic mode. I don't know if you guys are parents, but like I have nieces and nephews, and I lost my little nephew before. I'm not happy to say that, right? I lost him for like 2 seconds. It wasn't that bad, right? We went, you know how the malls have that little train in it, right? He got off the train before the guy got him off, and he ran through the gate to come try to find me. And I was coming the other way to find him. So we kind of just walked in circles, you know? But at that point, that was like, I was panicking. Oh my God, like where's Tino at? Like where, I can't find him, you know? So even in that couple of seconds, I panicked. That's why this kit's designed, guys, right? Now, after I kind of explain it to them like that, like tell them like the stats involved with it, that builds a big amount of importance in it, right? Now, the other thing, I make it personal to them as well. So I go, Mary and Joe, I'm going to show you how the kit works. Mary, what's one of your kids' names, for example? Right, and then she tells me your kid's name. Right, and then I use the kid's name the whole time throughout talking about this as an example. I make it real, right? So if I say Mary and Joe, you know, if they have kids, Mary and Joe, you know, what's one of your kids' names, for example? All right, and they would say his name's Phil. Okay, I would say, okay, Phil. So on the front here, where it says this kit belongs to, you're going to put Phil's name, and then you're going to put the date it's completed on right on the bottom part. All right. Now, on the inside is where all of like the good information is going to go. So number 1's personal information. Personal information, like this would be like height, weight, eye color, hair color, anything that's going to change down the road, put in pencil. That way they can erase it and change it, don't have to get another one. Anything that's going to be permanent, put in pen. You know, like birth date, name, social, blood type, medications, that type of thing. All right. Now, physical description is number 2. That's anything that makes Phil unique. Glasses, braces, scars, birthmarks, anything like that. Mark it on the character. So if they have a scar on the elbow, you can write one little scar on the elbow and write scar on elbow. All right. You got, and one thing I didn't explain, guys, is you got to kind of make this fun for them too. Right? You can't just kind of boringly walk through it. You got to have a little bit of, you know, uppity body language about this one here. You know, you got to make it fun for them. You know, so I kind of tell like a little joke there, like, you know, like I said, I grew up with 5 brothers. You know, before we were 8 years old, we all had stitches. Like little boys are rambunctious. I always tell people, like, if you have a little boy and he's over 8 years old and he doesn't have stitches or scars, is he really a little boy then? Did he really have, you know, a boyhood, right? So they probably got scars or something like that about them when they're young. All right. Now, number 3 on there is the DNA sample. So the DNA sample there, the police don't want spit or blood there. Number 1, that's gross. Number 2, it's not going to be able to be used for DNA. It'll dry up, right? So what the police want there is a hair follicle or fingernail. Now, I say hair follicle, you can't cut the hair. You got to pull it from the root. All right. So I asked Mary and Joe right here. I say, Mary and Joe, I'm sure your kids are never bad, right? I say just like that. Mary and Joe, your kids are never bad, right? And sarcastically, every single time, they're like, no, never bad. Or they laugh, right? I get them engaged right there. And at that point, I go, you know, they're probably bad about twice a year, right? And they're like, yeah, usually. I'm like, okay, well, great opportunity there. Next time they're being bad, instead of grabbing their whole head of hair, right? Just pluck 1 or 2 hairs out, and then you can tape it down for DNA. Right? So just like you guys are laughing, I'm telling you, it sounds corny, but I say it in every single house, and I get a reaction in every single house. Right? It gets them to like you. Right? And it's a very boring thing. I'm talking about a hair follicle. Right? So and then the thing is too, like sometimes little boys have no hair. Like when I was a kid, my mom would grab all of our hairs, right? So we all got smart. We buzzed our heads, you know, and she was even smarter. So she would grab my ear instead. She found that she was grabbing ears instead, right? So if the kids don't have like longer hair, you can't pull the hair out, you can use fingernails too. Like there's DNA in your fingernails. It works the same way. And then I suggest they either tape it down, or if you got like a, you know, like if you get like a new suit or like a new jacket or something like that, that comes with like a bag of buttons, use that little plastic bag. It works perfect. All right. And then number 4 is the fingerprint portion of this. So each one of these kits, I don't know if you guys can see this on the screen there, it comes with a police grade ink strip. So police grade meaning that it is messy and it is permanent. Okay. It's not going to be permanent on their fingers. It'll wash right off with soap and water. There's oil in your fingers, right? Oil in your skin. Now, if they get it on the walls, the furniture, clothing, tables, that's another story, right? It does not come off, right? I'll honestly tell you, my brother tried to test this theory like 4 years ago, and he thought it was funny. Took it out, put his finger on it, put it on his table. He's like, it'll come right off. Nope, still on there. Right. Now his wife's very crafty and she has like a big table runner, so you can't really tell it's there. But I know it's there, and he knows it's there, and his wife knows it's there. Right. So it is permanent, guys. So what I suggest our members do is if they have younger kids, I would say like 12 and under, do this like before bath time or outside. Like definitely supervise. I mean, they should supervise anyway, but if they're like 13, 14, 15, they can do this themselves. It's not too difficult. Right. So suggestion before bath time or outside, make it easy. You know, and I throw another little joke in there sometimes, like, I warned you, Mary and Joe, so I don't want to call a week or a month from now saying, hey, Drew, you got to come over and paint my walls. There's black handprints all over them. Right. But and then I asked them right here, I said, Mary and Joe, do you have any questions on how the inside of the kit would work? And they go, no, right? Even a really brief explanation, you know, getting through it pretty quickly. If they don't have kids, they're going to say no on the inside. It's pretty self-explanatory. But do you guys in training class have any questions? No? Beautiful. All right.
I will say I love the way that you explained it though. Like really.
All right, appreciate that. And then what I do is I flip back to the last page, like where we first start at, because that's where number 5 is. And that's like a photo of, you know, Phil, right? So I would say, I'm sure you got a million photos of Phil lying around. You're going to get a million more down the road, right? All you have to do is cut one out every 6 to 8 months and tape it down there, right? I mean, I don't know if they still do school pictures like they used to. You know, I used to get like, I don't know, 40 of them on a page. That works perfectly. But most parents have thousands of pictures with their kids, right? One thing I used to do, and we don't have an advantage of anymore, is when I used to go into people's homes, the first thing I would do before I got to their table is I would find their wall of fame. Everybody has a wall of fame. You guys know what I mean by that? Like pictures of their family, right? It's either a wall or like a cupboard or a desk or something like that with pictures all over it. That's the first thing I would do. I would go right to that every time. And I would ask, who's this? Who's this? You know what I mean? That way I get referrals right then and there. So why I explained that, guys, is because when you're building rapport, try to dig for referrals right there. That's why we ask if they have a family, if they have neighbors nearby, if they have brothers and sisters close. Because when I'm asking for referrals, those are the nearby. That way I get referrals right to that every cupboard or a desk. You know what I mean by that? Like pictures of their family, right? It's either a wall or like a cupboard or a desk or something like that with pictures all over it. On the inside, it's pretty self-explanatory. But do you guys in training class have any questions? No? Beautiful. All right.
I will say I love the way that you explained it though. Like really.
All right, appreciate that. But do you guys in training class have any questions?
So when that happens, just,
Yeah.
just
This road is there for me. If I'm ready.
No? Beautiful. All right.
I will say I love the way that you explained it though. Like really.
All right, appreciate that. And then what I do is I flip back to the last page, like where we first start at, because that's where number 5 is. And that's like a photo of, you know, Phil, right? So I would say, I'm sure you got 1 million photos of Phil lying around. You're going to get 1 million more down the road. And we don't have an advantage of anymore is when I used to go into people's homes. You know what I mean? That way I get referrals right then and there. So why I explained that, guys, is because when you're building rapport, try to dig for referrals right there. That's why we ask if they have a family, if they have neighbors nearby, if they have brothers and sisters close. Because when I'm asking for referrals, those are the first people I'm asking for. You said you had your brother down the street, right? Let's get him out these child safety kits too. So, but the last thing I usually go over, like fact-wise about the kits and explanation-wise, is
Discovered the book.
like the important tips for parents in the middle here. Now, I don't go over every single one of them. I always say, like Mary and Joe, I'm not going to tell you how to be parents. I'm sure you guys are great parents, but I'm going to give you some tips here in the center. The one tip I usually go over with them is number 3. It's not to place your child's name on like a backpack or a lunchbox or a jacket or anything like that. Now, the only reason why I go over this is a lot of teachers want that done. Like they have 40 kids and they want a name on their backpack just so they can figure out whose is whose, right? That's not the greatest thing to do. Right? If you guys really think about it, kids are very gullible, right? Especially young kids. And if the first thing the parents typically teach their kids how to say and name and write is their name, right? So they know what their name is. And all it takes is one person to stop by the school when kids are walking to the bus and say, hey, Jimmy, your mom, she's running late. She told me to come pick you up from school today. Hop in the car. We're going to go get ice cream on the way home. Right? That's really all it takes. So that's why I tell parents not to put their name on the backpack. Initials, stickers, colored tape. Use one of those 3. All right? And you don't have to go into a big explanation like that. Just make sure that they understand that. You can if you want. Now, the other thing too is collecting referrals. So we've made it important to them, gave them some facts and stats, explained how it works, right? The last thing about explaining how it works is I asked them, I say, Mary and Joe, now what you're going to do with this is you're not going to send this in to us because we don't need this. What you're going to do when you get it is you're actually going to fill it out and keep it in a safe location. Now, what they suggest is that you keep it in like the freezer or like a lockbox or a safe, right? So, and they go, freezer? Why the freezer, right? Even if they don't say freezer, you're going to say, you're going to keep it in the freezer because number 1, if the house burns down, the freezer and the fridge are still there usually, right? Number 2, right? It preserves DNA a little bit longer. So that hair follicle, it'll be there for a little bit longer. You won't have to change it out as much. I'm sure you all seen cold case files and forensic files and things like that where DNA is frozen for longer, right? And then the third reason is why is kind of a little joke. It's like, it's not really a joke. I was just telling them, like, if Ben and Jerry's are your good friends, like they're my good friends, you'll remember that the child safety kits are in there, when you see them. But basically I'm saying is how many times a day do you guys go in your fridge or freezer? Probably a lot, right? Even if you go in there and you don't get anything, you still go in there and look at it, right? Like, damn, wish there was something in there I liked, right? Mm-hmm. If you go in there every day and you see the child safety kits like hanging on the door, you're going to remember that they're there in a time of crisis, right? It's just recognition, seeing it over and over and over again. So that's kind of why, number 1, one of the main reasons why they recommend keeping it there. So, and then I asked them if they have any, questions about how the child safety kits work at all. And typically they'll tell me no, right? So, we made it real. We explained how it works to them. The next step is collecting referrals from this. So the child safety kits, you're going to get a bulk of your referrals from Child Safe. So you're going to get most of your referrals using the child safety kits. Now, keep in mind, and I'm going to say this just because I've had the experiences with it, not every child safety kit referral that you get is going to be a good one, right? Just remember that. especially if you're sitting down with a member and they're not really a good lead, or they're not really a good, sit to begin with. Birds of a feather flock together. Just keep that in mind. So if you go down one referral chain and it's a bad referral chain, just stop it. You're wasting your time. You know what I mean? Yeah, they still need the kits, still keep them there, but like don't focus as much on that. Does that make sense? So now the easiest way to collect referrals is for them to get their cell phone in their hands. All right. So I'm sure, you guys have a bunch of contacts in your phone, right? You don't have a bunch of contacts anymore is in your brain. It doesn't exist anymore. I remember when I was a kid, I still know my friends' phone numbers without the area code. I remember dialing the phone without the area code, right? So I remember a few numbers just because I had to. I didn't have a cell phone. I had to call at my house, So having the phone numbers in their hands is a huge, huge, huge thing. Now to get their phone with them, you got to say, Mary and Joe, you got your phone on you, right? Right? They're going to have their phone on them. Like how many times are you that far away from your phone unless it's on the charger, right? You're always going to have it there. So I would say, Mary and Joe, do me a favor, grab your phone. I have some very important information I need you to put into it. All right. And funny thing is they'll grab their phone. And that's building a little bit of control there, getting them to do things for you. Right. So that at the end, when you're like, go grab your checkbook, Mary and Joe, they're like, okay. So once they have their phone in their hands, I'm going to say, now, Mary and Joe, what I want you to do is I want you to save this phone number so that if the kits get damaged, you lose them, you need more down the road, or, if you just have to, need new ones from updating them every so often, you're going to call this phone number and they're going to send more out to you at no cost. So open up a contact for me, Joe, and save it as child safe. And let me know when you're ready. I'll give you the phone number. All right. And then the phone number is right here at the bottom. 1-800-742-6783. You can either give them that phone number or you can give them the office phone number. I usually give them the office phone number. All right. Because they're going to call here and they're going to be like, hey, we need some child safety kits. And they're going to be, okay, we'll be right out to you. Right. So, but once I have their contacts in their phone and they just save the contact, the next words out of my mouth are collecting referrals. I'm going to say, Mary and Joe, now the police and firefighters, they aren't asking for any monetary donations for these kits, so you don't have to worry about that. Right? But what they are asking is that you do your part in the community by sponsoring a minimum of 10 of your closest family members, friends, neighbors to receive these kits at no cost as well. Right? So I know you said that your brother lived right down the road. Let's start with him. He has 2 kids, right? And is his number 312 or 773? Right? You see how I'm kind of like assuming that first one right there? That's what has to be done. You have to get them started. Not too many people are going to be like, oh yeah, I have 25 people right now. You're going to run into 1 or 2 of those people for sure. You're definitely going to run into those people. But most people kind of have to get started with the process. All right. So using that I call it low hanging fruit because that's kind of what it is. The brother or the sister or the neighbor that you already talked about in rapport. Let's use them. All right. Once you got that one person started, you got to kind of coach them up to get the rest of them. So Mary and Joe, you got 1 person down, you got 9 more spots left. Who's next? All right. You're doing great so far. You got 4 spots, you got 4 spots filled out. You got, 6 more to go. Who else do you want to make sure gets these kits out to? Who's next? So coaching them up through it. All right. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, I don't even know anybody off the top of my head. All right. I love when people say that because what I say after that gets them to get their phone and go through the contacts almost every time. I say, yeah. I mean, it is tough off the top of your head to grab some, to think of people. But good thing is, you got all your contacts in your phone, and actually what they recommend, what the police and firefighters recommend so that we don't miss anybody is for you to actually go into your contacts and go from A to Z. That way we can make sure we get them out to everybody in the community. And they're like, oh, okay. All right. They usually just open their phone up right then and there, and they give you some names. Now, some people don't feel comfortable giving you names and numbers. You're going to run into that as well. So a lot of the time, though, it's because you didn't build enough rapport. They don't like you enough. They don't trust you enough to just give you people's names. All right. Most of the time, it comes down to the rapport you build with them. Other times, it'll come down to not making it important enough to them. They don't see a need for it. All right. So on the opposite side of that, though, guys, is if you're going through the child safety kits and they're like, you're running into some people that don't have families or kind of loners and kind of just go to work, come back and, you know, take care of that, then I wouldn't press them too much on getting child safe referrals. I'm not going to spend 5 minutes with them trying to get referrals out of them. I'm going to just keep it pushing. Right. So, but the one kind of way to get people to open up about referrals is using what's called the feel, felt, found method. All right. So feel, felt, found. And you can use this for a lot of things. It's not just referrals. So I usually say now, I would usually use this after someone told me they, you know, didn't feel comfortable giving people's names out or they want to talk to them first. I would respond with that. I would say, yes, you know, Mary and Joe, you know, I understand, you know, how you feel about that, right? I understand how you feel. You know, you don't want to give those people, you know, you don't want to give their names out. I get that. I understand how you feel, right? And I would also say, Mary and Joe, you know, keep in mind, you're not the only member that's ever felt that way either, right? So first thing, I'm empathizing with them, getting with them level, and then I'm including them with other people. You're not the only person, you know, not the only family to ever feel that way. But, you know, what we actually found out through, you know, the Child Safe program is, you know, the most effective way to get these child safety kits into the hands of the parents that need them the most is for parents to sponsor other parents they know to receive them at no cost. So, you know, I'm sure you know a couple people that need them. You know, like I said, the best way the company found to get those child safety kits into the parents' hands is for you to actually, you know, go through your phone, A through Z, and see who we can get these out to. All right. So feel, felt, found. Does that make sense to you guys? All right. Found out through, you know, the Child Safe program. It is, you know, the most effective way to get these child safety kits into the hands of the parents that need them the most is for parents to sponsor other parents they know to receive them at no cost. So, you know, I'm sure you know a couple people that need them. You know, like I said, the best way the company found to get those child safety kits into the parents' hands is for you to actually, you know, go through your phone, A through Z, and see who we can get these out to. All right. So feel, felt, found. Does that make sense to you guys? All right. And then, I mean, the other thing too, after referrals here, and I'm spending a lot of time on the child safe referrals. And keep in mind, when you're in the presentation, all of the no-cost benefits should take 10 to 15 minutes. They shouldn't take an hour. If you're collecting a lot of referrals and they're giving you names, I'll take those all day. I'll sit there all day and collect names, right? Because it's making my job easier. That's less people I got to worry about calling on call night, you know? Question?
Yeah. So with these referrals, does that mean that when they give you the phone number and their information that you end up calling them saying that you need to give them a child safety kit, and then do we try to present to them as well?
Yeah. So what they enroll them into, or what they, you know, sponsor them into, is the Child Safe program. So it comes with the child safety kits, the family information guide, and then we go over the needs analysis with them. Yep,
Okay.
the
So-
whole thing.
Even if they're not in the union, are we still trying to like get them this insurance?
Yeah, that's the great thing about it, is because they were sponsored in by a member or a union member, they get the same
Oh.
access to the benefits that the union member gets without having to pay union dues.
Okay, I
That's huge.
understand. That's a great little loophole.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
So
I get it.
like if you know, Mary is in a union and she's got 10 friends that aren't in the union and a lot of them have kids, she can sponsor them all in to get the union benefits.
Okay,
Right.
gotcha.
Yeah, very, very good question. Okay, so now, do you guys have any other questions on the child safe at all? Collective referrals, anything like that? Okay. Last thing I'm going to say about referrals here is, like, let's say that they gave you, you know, 5 referrals, 10 referrals. Let's just say 10, right? What I would say at that point, I would say, Mary and Joe, I'm gonna give you my promise. I'm gonna do my best to get these child safety kits out to everybody that you sponsored. But like I said, I do see about 6 to 8 members every single day, and I would really be squeezing them in between our unions, right? So is there maybe 1 or 2 or 3 people on this list that you want to make sure I get out to immediately, right? And they're going to tell you 1 or 2 or 3 people. It's probably going to be their closer family. And at that point, when they tell me 1 or 2 or 3 people, I put a star next to their name on my piece of paper, right? And I say, Mary and Joe, okay. So like I said, I do see about 6 to 8 members, and I really would be squeezing them in. But why don't we just give them a call right now, and that way we can get them on my schedule. That way I have time for them. So go ahead, Joe, shoot your brother Phil a call right now. That way we can get him on my schedule, and I can get the child safety kits out to his family. And now that's not going to work every single time, guys, but it's going to work. You got to just keep saying it over and over and over again. People will do it. I'm telling you. Like, I've done it before. I was in the guy's house. His sister, who actually lived 6 houses down, he called her and he was like, hey, you know, I'm here with my insurance guy through the union, and he's got these child safety kits. And when he called her, I just like waved to him, like I motioned like this, like, you know, give me the phone, right? Put me on speaker. What I usually tell him is I'll say, put him on speaker and I'll talk to him. You don't got to say one word. Right? And they just put him on speaker, and I set the appointment like I would a normal appointment. Except I don't have to ask them questions about, you know, is this on their card? All I need to know when I'm talking to them, when I'm in a sit, is their name, best phone number for them, email address, and the time of the appointment. I have all the other information, right? I have their name, how many kits they need. So when you have that list of people, you kind of want to have them narrow it down to a couple, just so you can call those couple right then and there in the house. Now you're going to call all of them, right? You're going to get them all on your schedule. And I would say try to call them as soon as possible, to be honest with you. Like they're hot on the press. Like you just got their phone number. You haven't called them 5 times yet. You haven't called them on call night yet. Like I would call them. If you don't have anything to do right after that, call them right after that. All right. The other thing too, I would recommend is, you know, let's say they give you only like 3 or 4 people. What you're going to do is you're going to tell them, hey, do me a favor. What I want you to do is call or text those 3 or 4 people that you have on the list here and let them know I'm going to be calling them. That way they don't think I'm some kind of crazy telemarketer. So I usually send them a text or a call and say, hey, you know, shoot them a phone call or a text. Like no group text though, guys. That's one thing I would recommend. Don't have them group text that whole chain of people. Right? The only reason why is you guys have been in group text before where one person said something negative and then the whole group went negative too, right? We don't want that to happen. So individual text messages back will work. But I mean, other than that, with the child safety kits, guys, that's really the bulk of it, the explanation of it, going over referrals for it. Do you guys have any questions on the child safety kits at all? No. Oh, you do? Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, one more. So, when you do call them, maybe this is
Mhm.
jumping ahead, but what exactly does that phone call look like? Is it the same as the other script or?
Yeah, it would be, there's a referral, a child safe referral script for it.
Okay,
It's basically just the same, like the same ending, but the only thing that's different is the introduction. You're just
Yeah.
basically going to let them know why you're calling and who you're calling through, and just explain a little bit about the kit, and then schedule them.
okay, great. Thanks, Drew.
Yep.
Drew?
Question? Yeah.
Yes. You know what? I don't know if all my other fellows here, did anybody have it physically in their hand? Because I don't have any of those, like the kits or the health. I want to have a package because sometimes when I watch other people do it, they have it and they show it to them like
Yeah.
this. And I don't have anything.
Okay. Get with your MGA and have them send you out packages.
Okay.
And that might have just been because we did just get a bunch of new, no cost to the office here. So we can probably send everything out to you guys. Just
Yeah.
get with your MGA and they'll have them send you a package. They'll
Okay,
send
that
everything.
makes sense. That makes sense then. Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks.
One
Alright, good.
small question, just in case they ask. Whenever we give them that number for any extra child safe kits they need, are they gonna have to pay for that, or is that gonna also be free when they get a new one?
Yeah, when they get new ones, it comes at no cost.
Okay,
Yep. They'll just call that number and they'll talk to somebody and they'll send them out in the mail. Pretty
Hey,
simple.
Drew.
Yeah.
How did you word that joke that you threw in there, like about the Ben and Jerry's? 'Cause that was good. That was awesome.
I would say, and the third reason why you keep it in the fridge is, if Ben and Jerry's are your good friends like they are mine, you're going to be in there every day and you'll see the child safe
Okay.
updates.
Gotcha.
You like ice cream, huh, Ben?
Yeah, it's all right. I just like how he said that. It was like,
Yeah, for
it's
sure,
definitely my
for
style for sure.
I'm messing with you.
Hey, Drew, I got a
Alright.
question. What happens to be the office's number? I know you said we could kind of, have them call the office instead, but what exactly is that number?
I don't have it on me. I will, as soon as we get done, I'll put it in the group. I have it on my business card. I don't have my cards on me. It's like 224. I'll give it to you in a second.
Thank you.
Here, I can find it.
While we're waiting on that, Talia, I actually have something for you. Hold on. Come here. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh,
Hey, who's our little buddy there?
This is Lexi.
Aw, so cute.
I'm actually at home today. So she is Australian Shepherd,
That's right.
Border Collie, Labrador, and Boxer mix.
Oh my goodness. Hang on.
So
Drew.
cute.
Yeah. So you should
361.
361.
Child safety kits. All right, good. Anybody here? No, ladies? Okay. No, you're good. All right. So the next benefit, and that's kind of how I transition. I would just say the next benefit they have set up for you. I don't say the next benefit I'm going to go over with you. I say the next benefit they have set up for you. So I put it all on the system, the unions, not me. All right. So the next benefit that they have set up for you is the AIL Plus card, right? So this replaced our AIL discount card before, the health services card. This just came out in August of last year. So it's still relatively new. And they spent the last about 3 to 5 years, probably about the last 3 years, and a couple $1 million developing this card just to make it better for our members. Right now, I remember when I first started, the health services card was probably like anywhere from 10 to 20% on discounts on things. This discount card blows that out of the water. There's things like 85% free on here. Right now, I want to explain to you guys how the card works. So it works with union buying power. Do you guys know what union buying power is? No? Okay.
Or you
no,
buy
no
in
worries.
bulk, the cheaper price you get.
I gotcha. So union buying power, it basically works like this. So the more people that are involved in a program, the more providers will see that there's a lot of people there, and the more discounts they'll be able to get. Right? So the more people we can get involved with this program, that's why it's grown so large over the years, is more people are getting involved into it. Right? So with the discount card itself, it used to be a physical card. They used to get like a physical card in a package, and they would keep it on them. It was great just because they could use it anywhere. But a lot of people were either losing the card or not using it. So the company designed it so that now it's an app on your phone. Easier. Everyone has their phones, right? So when I go over now just kind of a brief explanation for you guys about like how it came about and what it is. The way I explain it to them is I say your AIL Plus discount card, I always give them ownership of it. Your AIL Plus discount card, the way it works is it'll save you money on top of things at the pharmacy, the chiropractor, the optometrist, the dentist, right? The one thing I always point out to them every single time is the fact that this is not insurance. I like even circle it on the screen usually for them. You know, I tell them like, this is not insurance. This is not going to replace your current health insurance. So like, don't cancel your current health insurance through Aetna or whatever you have, right? What this is designed to do is work above and beyond that. So it takes care of anything you pay out of pocket for. So after I tell them that, after I tell them, you know, it takes care of anything you pay out of pocket for, the next slide I have, I usually go over with them and it breaks down the discounts. So it has discounts on the pharmacy. You can see 10 to 85% at the pharmacy. Now, the reason why I kind of go over this part here is I kind of want to take a little look into what their health looks like. I don't know much about their health right now. They're on screen. I can't really see them. You know, that's another disadvantage of being on Zoom. Like when I'm in the house with somebody, I get to walk in their kitchen. I get to look around their house. I get to see how they live, you know. But when I'm not there, I have to ask questions. All right. So the one question I ask is I say, Mary and Joe, now do you guys take any prescription medications? And if they go, yeah, we take a few. I'm like, okay, this could help you save some money. You know, it works at, you know, CVS, Rite Aid, Walgreens, Target, all the big name pharmacies it works at. The main one it doesn't work at, guys, is Walmart. Right? Walmart's notoriously anti-union, right? And we're a union-based company. We're in the union, like we're office professionals, local 277, right? So Walmart does not accept this card. A lot of people do go to Walmart though for their pharmacy because they're a little bit cheaper. So the good thing is they can go to CVS, Rite Aid, Walgreens. Like those are union companies, guys. I don't know if you knew that or not. All right. So the reason I'm asking that though is I want to see what their health looks like. If they tell me, yeah, we take a lot of medications, I'm like, okay, underwriting is going to be a little bit rough on this one here, you know? But if they're like, no, I don't take any medications, I'm like, okay, great. That's good. Let's go, you know? And then another thing I usually go over with is glasses, because I can physically see them wearing glasses. I wear glasses, so I always tie it into it, right? And I actually saved money on these glasses. The ones I have on my face right now, I use the old discount card. I saved $53. $53 and I have to pay for my glasses. So I didn't pay a single dime for that card. That's the way this works too. If they can take money right off the top, they do it. Right? And it's glasses coast to coast, which is huge. It used to just be certain like optometrists, like America's Best, Sears Optical, Target Optical, that type of thing. Now it's coast to coast. It's great. All right. Other thing I talk to people about. You got a question?
Oh no, it's even say laser surgery. I mean, this is actually the first time I've seen this part. So it even say laser surgery. Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I still don't trust that. I still don't trust that yet, so I'm not going to go that route.
Oh, okay.
Is that laser eye surgery or is it?
Yeah. Yeah. Everything in this little like dark gray category is all for optometry.
Okay.
So I mean, like a lot of people got eye issues. Like I've had bad eyes since I was 12. And I can see them on the screen. Like I would say, you know, just like you're wearing glasses, Joe, I wear glasses too. Do you pay any money out of your pocket for your glasses? And I'll be like, hell yeah, I do. I go, well, you could save some money, right? Who's like, you'll be surprised how many times that you'll sit down with somebody and they'll be like, I was thinking about getting new glasses. I'm like, well, good thing we got this discount card for you. How about that? right? But someone had a question?
So I know we're part of the union, and you just said that you use the old card. So after we're released and we're all up to speed, do we receive these as well?
Yeah. All you got to do to get the card is in e-app, fill out an e-app, and then send it.
Amazing, because my glasses are ridiculously.
Yeah, you can do that, and then there's a website you can go to too as well and log on to and sign up for it. And it's an app too. So I'll get to that in a second. All you got to do is download the app, and you can get access to it. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
But the chiropractic consultants are free. Like the first visit you go to, free chiropractic consultant, can't beat that. You know, I don't use the chiropractor myself. I'm always scared he's gonna I've seen crazy videos of people cracking backs. I can't do that. It makes me cringe. But dental is on there too with Humana. If you have dental through Humana, you save an extra 20 to 40% on that stuff. Big thing that's on here though that they added was diabetic supplements. A lot of people have to pay a lot of money for insulin. Like insulin's not cheap. All right. Neither is neither is metformin, the pill form of it. Like it's not cheap medication. And a lot of it's not discounted. That's the worst part about it. So this can help members save a lot of money there. Gina, question?
Yeah, I happen to notice that there's an asterisk by AIL Plus, and I look at the bottom and it says that it's not available in New York. So I guess my first question is, do we even have an agency in New York? And if so, if we do, are they not providing this discount card to people in New York?
Good question. So New York is one state where it's not AIL, it's NIL. It's National Income Life, so NILCO. It's NILCO. It's the same company. I don't know why. It's just really weird. New York is different. So they have like a NILCO Plus card instead of an AIL Plus card. That's the only
Is it the same discounts and benefits and everything, or is it?
I believe so. I haven't seen anything from them, so I can't give you like a definitive answer, yes, but I would assume it would be the same. We're the same company, you know, it's just
A different name for the, okay, gotcha. Cool, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right. But does anybody have any questions on like the discounts? Usually what I do here is I just walk them through, like, so it'll save you 10 to 85% at the pharmacy. You guys take any prescription medications, and then play off that a little bit. You know, I see you wearing glasses. It can save you 20 to 60% on glasses. It works with the chiropractor, and it works with diabetic supplements, lab testing, MRIs, and CT scans. All right. And then usually what I do is I say, now the way the card works is it's not a physical card anymore. It's actually an app on your phone. So you can download it right through the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, either one. And it's just called AIL Plus. You guys can look it up right now. It's on there. So, but once the people download it, it's going to ask them for like a group name and a password. They won't get that group name and password until their meeting. Once we get done with meeting with them, the needs analysis, the top part of that needs analysis, it'll say like AIL Plus discount program. And you're going to put in like their email address, their phone number, their address. What that's going to do is once that meeting is done and that application is off your computer, it'll send them an email to that email address. It'll say, welcome to the AIL Plus program. Here's your group name and your password. Download the app right here. And then they'll download the app, and they'll put their group name and password in, and it'll look exactly like it does right on that screen. It'll say like American Income Life Insurance Company, and it'll say my benefits. It'll have a list of the medications that they take, the pharmacies that they can visit. It'll have a map of like all the locations in the area that they can look at. It'll like, I don't know if it'll automatically order prescriptions, but it'll remind them that they have prescriptions due, things like that. Like it's a great tool. And it's brand new. So even if a member we sat down with last year, we didn't have this. Right? So there's always new no-cost benefits, guys. We're always updating them, making them better. One of the main reasons we got to get out to them.
That'll all be available to them right after the presentation because we're going to be filling this out for them.
Correct. Once we get done with the presentation, sale, no sale. Usually with my no sales, I usually get them off my computer like a day later or the day after. And you can talk to your field trainers on how to do that. But if it's a sale, you send it to home office. In 2 days, they'll send them an email. And even if they don't get the email, what I do is when I send the package out to them, I have like a card or like a piece of paper that has the description of the card on it and like a website and a phone number they can call to. So they actually get it in the mail too. All right, do you guys have any questions on this at all? Okay, and right here too, guys, we can collect referrals off this. I can say Mary and Joe. Now, because the AIL Plus program is brand new, they're trying to get a lot of people into the discount program. So, you know, what they do is they let you sponsor up to 5 people to get the discount card for free as well. All right, so is there anybody you know that maybe just had a kid or, you know, has their own business or just retired or just got laid off, just lost their work benefits? Right, throw some suggestions at them right there. Like if you get 3 people on the discount card here, that's huge. That's 3 more people you're going to go see. Now, keep in mind, the people that are going to be most entertained with this discount card is definitely going to be the older generation. Just because they're typically paying a lot of money for medications and things like that. And at that point, you know, we got to help them out. And this is like a little scheduling tip for you guys. When you're scheduling appointments, don't put somebody in their 50s and 60s during prime time. Prime time's from like 6 to 9 o'clock, maybe 6 to 10. Try not to do that if you can. Try to put a younger family in there that has kids and works, you know what I mean? Like prioritize that. If you're going to meet with somebody who's retired, what the hell are they doing all the rest of the day? Sit down with them at 1 o'clock. You know what I mean? Get that presentation done, get warmed up, and then get into the meet. All right. But any questions, guys, on the AAL discount card? We're good here. All right, cool. All right. So the next benefit that they have set up for you, right, or the next benefit I usually go over with them is the Family Information Guide, or for short, FIG, F-I-G. Now, the Family Information Guide itself, it's not a will. Here's how I start this out. I say, Mary and Joe, this is your Family Information Guide. Now, quick question. Do you guys have a will or anything like that set up yet? And if they say yes, I'm like, great. This is going to work hand in hand with your will. Or if they say no, I'm going to be like, okay, this is not a will, but it's a very good start to a will. Right? It's like the precursor to a will. What this is designed to do is it's designed to guide your family to the information they need when you're not here anymore. Right? It's kind of give you a voice when you don't have one. Make sure that what you want done when you pass away happens. So I say, I'm going to walk you through how it works, guys. So this guide, though, before I start it, this is where you're going to get a lot of good information about your clients right here. Like, use this to kind of dig for some, I call it ammunition. Use it to dig for some ammunition that you can use later in the presentation, right? So main things that you're going to look for here, when I go over the vital statistics and historical data, I just say this is your name, your address, your social, all that good stuff about you, you're going to put down there, right? The next box down is veterans information. I ask them if they're a veteran. Mary and Joe, did you serve at all? No? Okay, don't have to worry about that section. If they did, stop and thank them. Like, you served what branch? Oh, the Army. That's crazy. What years were you there? Like, help build a little rapport with them right there. Thank them for their service. We ran into it the other night, right? We talked to this guy for like 5 minutes on what he did in the Army, only because the girl I'm with, her dad was in the Army as well. So they found a common ground. If you find common ground with them, guys, explore it a little bit, right? It's just going to make you more personable, all right? So, and then it says spouses, vital statistics and historical data. That's the wife or the husband's information. If they're single, they don't have to worry about that. Persons to be notified. That next section down there is probably one of the more important parts on there. This would be where their beneficiaries would go, or whoever would be in charge of anything if they had an accident or an emergency. What I say to them right here is I would say, Mary and Joe, persons to be notified, these would be beneficiaries in case you did pass away, right? So Mary, I'm assuming Joe would be your main beneficiary, and she'd be like, yes. I'm like, what? Well, if something happened to Joe, who would be next in line? And they would say, oh, my sister Susie. Okay, so you're going to put Joe and Susie down here, so that if something does happen, they can contact everybody else, all right? And then at the bottom, there is a person to be in charge of final arrangements. Who's going to take care of the funeral services? Name one person to take care of it, right? So what's important there is I know her beneficiaries now. So I can just assume that down the road when I'm talking to them about the life insurance. I can use her name, all right? I can say, Mary, if you and Joe died, all this money would go to Susie, right? And I always take little notes too when I'm in the presentation, guys. Don't be afraid to have like a notebook and a pen and paper next to you and take notes. They should do that every presentation. What I usually have my team do is write down all the information about the SIT, so their name, their phone number, their address, their email, their beneficiary, right? And then under that, I have them take notes. And at the end of the presentation, I have them go over 3 things that they feel they did well, 3 things that they could work on, and if anything stumped them. So that when they can come to me on Mondays and Thursdays and say, Drew, this is what I looked at this week. This is what happened to me. What can we do moving forward? Or I got beat by this rebuttal. Let's work on that. One thing I would always recommend, and I'm going to get to it in a second here, is if somebody else has life insurance, they have life insurance through another company, and you don't know what that company does or who they are, what they sell, write that name of that company down. And your homework for that night is to study that company. You can Google. I've fallen asleep many nights on my phone like this, Googling life insurance companies. All right. So the next section down though is where they would put a will if they had one. So Mary and Joe, you mentioned you didn't have a will. When you do get one drawn up, put your attorney, your executor, and then where the papers are on file at. If they do have a will, okay, it's great that you have a will. This is where we're going to mark down where it's at, who the executor is, and who your attorney is. Now, the next section down is by far the most important section on here. If you guys don't go over anything, but go over the estate information, you'll be okay. Okay. Now, the estate information is also where you're going to find out a lot of the good information that you need in the presentation. I would say, Mary and Joe, the estate information is probably the most important section on here. All right. Now, this is where all of your life insurance is going to go. And I would say, Mary and Joe, the reason why this is important is because just alone last year, $1.6 billion of life insurance went unclaimed. And I'll say, that's a lot of money, right? And they go, yeah, that's crazy. And I would say, Mary and Joe, the main reason why all that money goes unclaimed is because they don't let their family members know that they have it, or they lost paperwork, or they can't find information on it. So what we designed here is a spot where you can put all that information. Now, this part right here, I use to dig for life insurance about them. I ask them one important question. I say, Mary and Joe, do you have any permanent life insurance in force right now? Mary and Joe, do you have any permanent life insurance in force right now? And they can answer this in kind of three ways, right? They can say, yes, I have life insurance. Right? And you're going to ask them there. You're going to be like, okay, now do you have it through work or do you have it outside of work? They might even just say, yeah, I have life insurance through work. Right? If they have life insurance and it's through work, once again, let them know. Okay, what you're going to do with work coverage is you see down here it says group coverage, hospital, medical. You're going to put the company you have it through, the policy number, and then there's no spot for an amount, right? Because once again, once you quit, fire, retire, all your benefits from work go away, right? And they're gonna be like, oh yeah, that's right. Right? So if they do have work coverage, make sure you mention to them that, you know, it's great that you have that work coverage, but just keep in mind, once you do quit, fire, retire, it will go away. Right? So that's one way they can answer. They can say, yes, I got coverage through work. And your response there, great, you have the coverage, put it down, company, policy number, and then no amount because once you quit, fire, retire, it goes away. They can also say, yes, I have life insurance and it's outside work. All right, so yes, I have permanent coverage. At that point, I'm like, okay, great. Who do you have it through, for example? And they'll be like, oh, we have State Farm. I'm like, okay, perfect. So what you're going to do is you're going to write State Farm, the policy number, and then the amount. That way, if something happens, all your family has to do is call one company, give them the policy number, and they can issue that amount to your family really quickly. Right? What I want them to do is tell me who they have the life insurance through right there. Because I've been doing this for a while. I know which companies sell which policies. Right? So, you know, just to give you guys like a quick example, if they say like, oh, I got Primerica. Right? Do you guys ever hear the word Primerica? No, it equals term. Every time. They do not do whole life. This will be an easy one. Right? So if they have Primerica, I'm not going to be right here. I'm not going to be like, oh, Primerica, that's term. We should get that replaced. Right? I do not go into their life insurance at this section. I'm not the expert in their eyes yet. Does that make sense? All I want to do is just get a little bit of ammunition that I can use down the road. When I'm explaining term and whole and I'm breaking down their current policies, That's when I'm going to break that out. But in the back of my mind right now, I know they have Primerica, so I know they have a term policy. So I'm keeping that up back here, right? So what you want, and this is where I said take those notes at, because if you hear a company you don't know, like there was one the other day that I didn't know, and I swear on my life, like I never heard of them because it's an Illinois company. It's called like Country Financial or something like that, right? So, and that was new to me. I didn't know who that was, so I stayed up and I did a little bit of research on them. Right? Turns out they got whole life, they have term, they have universal, they have a little bit of everything, right? But they specialize in term policies. You know, every company specializes in a different type of life insurance. We specialize in whole life, right? So that's why I want you guys to write those names down. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, the third way they can answer this is the best way by far is no. No, I don't have any permanent life insurance in force right now. You're going to be like, you're not going to be like, oh man, we need to get you a policy right now. Let's go. What you're going to say is you're going to go, okay, so you don't have any current life insurance in force right now. You know, not if, but when you get some life insurance, because we all need it, right? So not if, but when you get some permanent coverage, because we all need it, right? You're going to put the company. So you would write AIL, you're going to put the policy number and then the amount. Right? You see how I threw our name in there? Do that. Throw a little seed in there. So that the no is what you want to hear. You want to hear, I mean, you really don't. You want to hear that they have coverage and that they're protected. But at the end of the day, the best situation for you guys is right here. For them to say no. And like I said, I don't want you to go like sales hungry right there and be like, oh, I got to get a sale right here because they said no, they don't have it. Yeah, keep in mind too, they might not be in great health. They might not be able to qualify for it. All right, but just know that this is probably the best outcome right here. Okay.
So real quick, how did you phrase that again when you said, you know, was it when you sign up with us, here's where our name is going to go, or how did you phrase that?
Yeah, I said, so not if, but when you get some permanent coverage, you know, because we all need it, right? You're going to put the company. So you put AIL, the policy number, and then the amount.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, anybody have questions on that section? Now, I usually do take a couple extra minutes and go through that section a little bit slower for them, just so they understand it. All right. But then the next section down will be financial institution information. I asked them, now, Mary and Joe, you have a checking account, right? Or Mary and Joe, do you have a checking account? Because I want to know if they have a checking account. Because what happens if they don't, guys?
You can't.
What happens if they don't have a bank?
You can't do it.
Can't do it, right? So, I mean, this actually came into play last night. The guy that I helped with a policy, older guy, didn't have coverage. He tried to use a Chime bank account. And I told him, I was like, you know, they don't want Chime. You know, what they want is actual physical brick and mortar location. So you have like PNC or like, you know, Citizens Bank or something like that. He was like, oh yeah, I have PNC. Well, let's use PNC. Right. But I knew he had PNC because he told me he had PNC earlier down here. That's why I knew that. That's why I said that, you know, so you can use that for ammunition down the road too. All right. Question. Yes.
Me, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Drew, so since we're right here in this part where we're talking, I know in the future that you're going to ask them, oh, you know, grab me your checking account. And I have a checking account, but I don't have those checks anymore because everything is online for me. But what I can do is go on my phone and grab you the checking routing number. That works too, or literally you want them to have a physical, because definitely, like I myself, I don't even have one. I just don't need it.
No, it's a good
That's
question.
still the same thing or no?
Yeah. Not like I have physical checks only because I don't know. I don't even use them. They're just in my desk. But I'm the same way. All my stuff's online.
Yeah.
And yeah, they can get their routing and account number online.
Okay.
Right. And like just a little tip, guys, routing numbers are public domain. You can Google a routing number. Just type the name of the bank in and location, and it'll pop up the routing number for you. Right. And the e-app is smart enough to know if the routing number is correct or not. So if you got it wrong, it'll let you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I don't really ask them those numbers right here because I don't really want to pry into that. I'm not really too
Yeah,
worried about
I
it.
totally get it. It's just
I
ask.
just like, yeah, I just make sure like you guys got a checking account, right? And like, who do you guys bank through? They're like PNC. Actually, I mean, I usually do kind of figure out who they get here just because I'm not too, it just is in my personal life. I'm not too happy with PNC, my bank right now. So I'm looking for another bank and I'm just asking people what kind of banks they have just to see if they like it or not, you know? And it's like that's like genuine conversation. I really want to know because I'm sick of PNC, you know? But yeah, I mean, it's a good way to get the bank information from them right there, making sure they know they have one, right? The next section down, it says safe deposit box. Not too many people have those anymore. They're kind of getting phased out, but that's only on there just to make sure that the family knows that they have a safe deposit box at a bank somewhere, right? Then the bottom part, funeral service request, is another like pretty important part that you want to go over with them. Main reason why, it's a little psychology into thinking about death a little bit, getting them to think about the next situation. I'm sorry, you got a question, Gina? Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So safe deposit box, you know, I know you say they're phasing out and everything, but would here be a good time to remind them that, you know, like just a reminder, don't put these in your safe deposit box because of the probate process and everything?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yes, 100%. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, it even says it right on the front. I don't know if you guys can like see. It says there's a note. It says, "Do not keep in the safe deposit box." So you're right. You're right. It does say that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, you can mention that to them right there. But most people don't really have one. I just kind of fly through it for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could definitely put that in there.
A tip for everyone though, Indian men and women definitely have a safe deposit box because we have a lot of real jewelry that we always keep in that safe deposit box. So just a heads up, like usually Asian women and men will have that safe deposit box.
Okay, it's good to know. Good to know. Love it.
Yeah.
All right. But like I was saying, the funeral service request part here, this is getting them to think of death, getting them to start to think of that thing, right? So we're slowly going from like their kids, what's very important to them, to their health, to the life insurance, right? So the funeral service request, I usually tell them, like I say, everybody's got their own way of going out, whether it's a burial, whether it's a mausoleum or cremation. All you have to do down here is mark it down your way. That way, no one in your family is going to fight about it. They have everything marked down the way they want it done. And there's even if they have pre-purchased plots, they can have it at the funeral home, the church, the grave site. They can, if they want to wear jewelry, what kind of clothing they want to wear. There's also a spot for special instructions at the bottom if they have anything unique they want done. Like if they want to be like cremated and shot off into space, or like mummified, or I don't know, like a Viking funeral or something like that. Like I've been doing this for 5 years. Like I said, I've heard everything under the sun people want to do. And there's a million things you could do with your body when you pass. So if they have anything unique they want done, they'll put it down there. And usually if they do have something unique, they'll tell you. They'll tell you some quirky things. You guys will hear some funny things, right?
What's the
I just
weirdest
use those-
thing you've ever heard?
So I used to work in West Virginia a lot, and if anyone's from Pennsylvania, you know West Virginia. So it's a different breed of people down there. Not to say that I don't love them. My dad's from West Virginia. I went to school at WVU. I love West Virginia. I lived there for 2 years. But it's a different atmosphere. It's a different type of people. And I remember very distinctly going to this guy's house, and their father just passed away. And he was a huge Harley fan, right? Owned a couple Harleys, all the gear, everything. They ended up taxidermying him to the Harley in the funeral home.
What?
That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
What? Really? Oh my
Yeah.
God, I can't imagine.
That's one of the weirdest things I've ever heard.
That is next level for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So you guys will hear some wild things. I mean, the only reason why I use those examples is those are examples that I've heard personally too before. You know, and if someone asks me like, what's the craziest thing you heard, I tell them that story, and they're like, and they give you the same reaction, like, oh my God, that's crazy, right? Like there's a lot of costs associated with certain things you want to do. You know, that's why I bring that up to them. Like if they think that, you know, getting mummified is the same cost of burying somebody, they're super, super wrong. It costs like $40K to mummify you,
Yeah.
you know? So you can joke with them a little bit there, but at the end of the day, I kind of want to just figure out what they want done. If they have anything crazy or unique they want done, just so I can show them when I'm explaining the benefits that they might need a little bit more for this, you know? And then, I mean, the last thing too, at the bottom, they can actually get this notarized where it says signature. They can like take it to a bank or a public notary and they can get it notarized and it'll hold up as a legal document. Keep in mind, it's not a will. It's not designed to go through court proceedings. It's not designed to leave certain things to certain people. It's designed to get your family the information you need when they're not there anymore. It's really designed to kind of help that first 3 to 5 days after that person passes away. Like when the family's flipping through every piece of paper in the house to try to find things, this will keep everything in one location. It'll help the
So
process
this
get started pretty quick.
does or doesn't hold up in court as a legal document if they get it notarized?
Does not.
It does not.
I mean, it'll be a legal document. It just won't, there's no reason for this to go to court at all. Right? There's nothing on there that.
I'm just wondering
this
because
to
I think I
somebody.
say that in my script.
So that's the will kit, I think. Is that correct? And this is not the will kit. This is a family information
This
guide.
is not the will.
Correct.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Good to clarify. Thanks.
We do have a will. I'm gonna go over that in a minute.
Okay.
There is an actual will. Yeah, there is an actual will that we do offer our members. This is not that. This is not like a full-blown legal will. This is
Indy,
just a guide.
Indy, I feel you. I felt the same way too. I was wondering if that was the kit, but after hearing us, I just this is something we haven't really heard before yet. Family information guide. So, but yeah, I figure it wasn't a will kit.
Yeah,
I feel
I mean,
you.
I use this in every presentation. I go over this in every single presentation because it gives me the information I need to help this member more effectively. That's why I use it, right? But do you guys have any other questions on the family information guide before I go any further? No? Everyone good? All right. All right, so the next benefit that I go over with them right after this, if they're a union member or an association member or a hard card, they have an A, D, and D certificate, right? Their
I'm sorry to
accidental
interrupt.
death member certificate.
What is a hard card exactly? Because I've heard that phrase a couple of times. I'm not quite
Gotcha.
100% confident.
Yeah, no problem. So a hard card is any lead that is like given to us from the company.
So those beneficiary cards?
Correct. So it'd be the beneficiary cards or like a request for the child safety kits or a request for the will kits.
Okay.
Anything that the company physically gives us. That's considered a hard card. Right?
Just to clarify, what's an A and D?
I got you. I'm pulling it up right now.
Accidental.
Yep. A, D, and D stands for accidental death and dismemberment.
Oh,
Okay. So can you guys see that? Let me see. I was trying to pinch the screen because I think I can blow. I think I'm using my screen. I can blow it up. So stupid. I don't even know if I can. Can you guys see that?
mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Well, but it's all right.
Okay. So the little portion on the right there, that's like this guy Tyler I saw a couple weeks ago. That's his information. That's his handwriting. He wrote that down. Actually, his wife wrote it down when we figured that out. But his wife wrote the signature down. Like that's their physical handwriting. When you call people on the phone, you see that little card. It's transponded right onto their AD and D certificate. Right. Now, the only people that get this certificate though are union members, credit union members, and association members. If they're not in one of those three, if they're a child safe or they're a will kit, they don't have the certificate. Does that make sense? So you don't even have to go over with them.
Now, is that because the union itself or the association is the one that's actually issuing those cards? And
Correct.
Obviously.
Correct. So this card, I mean, for this guy, he's in the sheet metal workers, local 218. All right, so he was a union member. Now, the way I break this down for them, I usually show them, I say, now, Tyler, here is your group accidental death and dismemberment certificate. And I show them his handwriting. I say, that's your handwriting over there, correct? And they go, yep. I'm like, okay. So and then after that, I just explain how it all works to them. It's pretty easy. I start with who's covered. See how it says who's covered up here? I don't know if I can highlight it or not. Yeah, there we go. Oh, Tyler, the whole thing. What's going on here? I don't know. I don't know how to work this math. Sorry, guys. All right, there you go. So who is all covered? All active members and retirees in good standing. What that means is as long as they're paying their union dues or they leave in good standing, that this policy is going to be covered for them. All right. Now, the members don't pay money for this policy. They don't pay any money. As long as they're a union member, has been paying their dues, this policy is active. Now, there's going to be two numbers over here to the right. There's an SG number and an ID number. Right? The SG number, that attaches our company, American Income, to the sheet metal workers 218. So everybody in the 218 has the same SG number. The ID number is unique to that person, though. That makes sense? Okay.
So that's
Now,
the union you said, that's the same number for everyone? The union number?
correct. The SG number is the same for everyone in the sheet metal workers local 218. So that attaches, the SG number attaches American Income to the sheet metal workers. The ID number attaches Tyler to the sheet workers. All right. Now, and then I just go over the benefits, what happens. I say, now, Tyler, this policy is for the benefits for the accidental loss of your life, both hands, both feet, both eyes, one hand, one foot, one hand, one eye, one foot, one eye. Right? If anything in that first category happens, $3,000 comes out to you, Tyler, if you're still alive. If you do pass away because of it, that money will go to your wife, Emily. All right? And then I ask them, does that make sense? And they'll go, yes. So guys, it's a living benefit and a death benefit. All right? Because, I mean, chances are if he loses both of his feet, he's still alive, that money's coming out to him. All right? Now, in the category below that, if he loses one hand, one foot, or the sight of one eye, half that amount would come out to him. So like $1,500. Right now, guys, like $1,500 is not a lot of money. You know, it's not a lot. It's not enough money to go cutting your hands off about, right? But if that does happen, that's why the money's there. All right. And it gives a little brief description of what, you know, loss of hand or loss of leg means. But after I explain what it covers, I kind of briefly go over the exclusions that are on there too. So the main exclusions are like sickness, suicide, voluntary taking of drugs, acts of war, committing felonies, taking part in a riot, that type of thing. Things that aren't really accidental anyway, to be honest with you. You know? And then at the bottom, I usually tell them, like, everything from this line right here up, they get in the mail. How did I just do that? That was cool. All right. Everything from like those little lines up will get sent out to them in the mail. So they'll get a copy of it. Everything from those little lines down, I usually cut off and I keep at the office for our records. All right. So I tell them, I say, we got to make sure the bottom, Tyler, is correct information. So your name spelled right? And he'll say yes. And I'll say, okay, is your address right? The 2642 South Homer Lake Road. And they'll go, yes. And I say, okay, now your date of birth in there correct as well? And I'm like, yep. Okay. Now the last thing in there is a phone number. And I also make sure that this is Emily's phone number, not Tyler's phone number. Because if something happens to Tyler, probably not going to be answering his phone, right? Emily's going to be answering the phone. We need Emily's phone. And most of the time, guys, this is the phone number from up here. So it's going to be Tyler's number. So I would say now we have your number here as this. Is that yours or Emily's? He would say mine. I would say, okay, they need Emily's phone number on there. So what's the best number for you, Emily? I write that. All right. Now they do not have to sign this if we're doing it virtual. Like they don't have to sign this at all. This is like once they fill out the card, this policy is active for them. That makes sense? So they don't have to physically fill it out. But when we do send it out to them, they do get a copy of it. Now, the other thing I do here is I collect contingent beneficiaries, right? The way that I do that is just a couple words. I say Mary and Joe. Now what they have us do is collect contingent beneficiaries here, because if something happens to you and Emily together, or Emily before you, who would you want this money to go to? And they're like, oh, okay, we'll make it my son, right? And then on the back of that little slide, the little slip of paper on the bottom, on the back, I put their name. What you need to get for our, a beneficiary here is their name, like the city that they live in, and their phone number. And then you can shoot them a phone call as a contingent beneficiary. Get them on your schedule. Show them how it works. All right. Keep in mind, though, if the contingent beneficiaries are minors, you cannot call them. But if they do give you minors, a good way to get around that is you can say, now you did list your little son as the contingent beneficiary, and that's fine. But what they recommend is you leave it to someone that would take care of him. So someone that's, a little bit older than him and is local. So what they suggest is you leave it to someone that's local and that would take care of whatever their son's name is, That way you can get an actual name and a number from someone who would you be able to call and talk to. All right. And I ask them if you have any questions. You guys have any questions on the child safety or the child safety kits? You guys have any questions on the AD&D certificate? No, it's pretty easy, right?
And you said this
All
is
right.
only union members and credit unions who have this?
Yes, 100%. Yep. All right. So the last no cost benefit before I'm gonna get out to you guys here, and we'll finish right on time too, which will be great. The last no cost benefit I'll go over with you guys is the will kit itself. Okay. Now, the will kit, it was just designed in like February of 18. So it's not that old. It's only a couple years old now, right? And the will kit, the way it works is it's in two parts. Can you guys see on the screen here? There's a blue copy of it and there's a green copy of it. The blue copy, it says workbook, right? The green copy says documents. So why we designed this is because the blue copy is like a rough draft. It's designed to walk them through how it works. It's designed for them to mess up, to change, to fix, to replace certain things. Once they have it finalized in the blue copy, they just transfer everything over to the green copy and they get it notarized. All right. So I usually walk them through the actual copy of it because I have a PDF of it and I'll email that out to you guys as well. But in the blue copy, if you guys can see that, I don't know if you guys can really see it. This information and this information, the first page is the same. When you open up the pages, there's the same information on this side and this side in the workbook. Because this side is going to give you an explanation on how to fill it out. There's no blank lines, you see. But over here, there's blank lines. See? So the first part shows you how to fill it out, and the second part is where you put the information at. And then when you actually go over the will, there's really no description. It's just blank lines, right? So I'm going to pop up on the screen so you guys can see it here. All right. Can everybody see that? Okay. I want to make it big so you guys can see it here too. Okay. All right. So that's what the green version looks like there, the actual documents. So the first page, there's nothing really on there, just a disclaimer on the bottom. The second page is where they would put their name at. That's whose will it is. All right. Same thing with the top part here, last will and testament of their name. All right, you put their name there. Oh, why did that not work? Okay. Here we go, draw. Blue. Sorry. Still not working. Oh, whatever. All right, so, and then you're gonna put their name there. Article number one is identification of family. Now, I want you guys to keep in mind when I'm explaining this kit right now, I'm gonna walk you through it kind of slow. You should take maybe 5-10 minutes of the time with them to walk them through this. I'm gonna send you when we get done here. I want everyone to put, whoever's virtual, put your email in the chat so that I can send you the email that'll have a video of Mark Zipper walking you through the will kit, the long version of it and the short version of it, and it'll also have the PDF in there too. Okay, so when we get done, everyone put their name in the chat, and I'll email that over to you tonight during call night. Okay, but I'm gonna walk you through everything and just give you kind of a good breakdown on it all. Okay. Now, article number one, that's the identification of their family. It'll say, I'm married to this person. These are my kids. Now, the reason why that exists is because later in the will, it'll refer back to my spouse as, or my children as, right? So when it says my children further in the will kit, that's who they know they're talking about. Does that make sense? It's just a reference part right there. Article number two is probably something you got to go over with them every time. It might be something a lot of people don't know. Article number two states that all payments of debts are the responsibility of the executor. Okay? I'm going to say it again. All debts of the estate are the responsibility of the executor. All right. So what that means is, hypothetically, let's say, Joe passes away, right? And in Joe's estate, he's got $50,000 of life insurance, but Joe also has 20 grand in credit card debt, right? Now, if his brother Frank is the executor, Frank has to use this 50 grand to pay off this 20,000 before the rest of that 30,000 can be distributed. Does that make sense? If not, if Frank just gives this 50K to the family, Frank's on the hook for that 20 grand right there. Right? This is how people become in debt when their family passes away, because they don't understand that the executor has that responsibility. They end up giving all this money to the family and everybody, and then they're on the hook for that 20 grand. All right. So do you guys have any questions on that at all? You don't have to go into deep explanation about that with them. You can. It's pretty easy to explain. All right, but just know that that's what happens. Right? And guess what, guys? When money goes to your estate, it becomes taxable too. Okay. Indy, you got a question?
Because of that, the executor always has to give the okay that they want to be the executor, right?
Yes, they have to sign off on this 100%. Yes. And there's actually 3 articles in here that I'll show you in a second that show what the responsibilities of the executor are and what they can and can't do. So you'll see that in here in a couple minutes. Okay. But does anybody have any questions on Article 2? No? Good. Okay. Article number 3 is the disposition of property. Now, this is what most people think about when they have a will, like leaving certain things to certain people, right? So at this part, I'm going to let them know that there's 4 types of property that you can leave to somebody. It's 4 of them. The first type of property is called a specific bequest. That's anything that you directly want to leave to somebody. I want to leave the house to this person. I leave my jewelry collection to this person, right? I leave my old CD collection to this person. So what you're going to do is you're going to nominate the article, like what they want to leave, who it's going to go to, and then where they reside at. So that once the estate is handled, they can distribute everything to the right people. Does that make sense?
That's called a bequest, right? Like BEQUEST.
Bequest, yes. Bequest. Yeah, bequest. Yes. So that's the first type of property you could leave to somebody, right? And in the workbook, there's only like, I think 13 or 14 spots for it. But in the actual documents, there's 36.
Can you give me the name of that property again, please?
A specific bequest.
Specific bequest, thank you.
So that's the first type of property you could leave to somebody. The second type of asset or property is called a digital asset. This is becoming more and more popular. This is something that's either costing you money online or making you money online, right? So like Netflix, Hulu, Instagram, Amazon accounts, Etsy shops, Spotify shops, right? Anything that you have an online presence for, Facebook, you either want that shut down or do you want it to still continue, right? The main reason why this is in here, guys, is there's a lot of people that have automatic drafts coming out of their accounts. And to be honest with you, Netflix does not know or care that you died. They're going to still pull that $15 a month out of your account every single month until you tell them to stop. It happens, right? I mean, and not to like make you guys sad or anything like that, but my great aunt just died like a month ago, and we didn't find out how bad she was in debt until like a month ago, and there was still stuff coming out of her account. She worked at Big Lots and would buy stuff all the time, and she was a big hoarder from QVC. So she still had so many bills coming in after the fact that she passed away, and she had money in the accounts. All that went away. Right? So that's why I tell people, like, if you have digital assets, if there's things that you have reoccurring, mark that stuff down, right? Now, you guys can see on here, it says you're going to mark it on Schedule A. So right there and on that line, there's no spots for an amount. You just can't, there's not enough lines for it. There's no lines at all. Where Schedule A is, it's like the last page. It's on page 12. You see Schedule A right there. You're going to name the digital asset, so where it's at, where to access it, the website, the username and the password, and then what to do with it. Right, so they can put all their digital assets or all their automatic drafts on there. That way, something happens, they know how to get to it. All right. Question. Yes, Gina.
So now hypothetically, like let's say the person who passed had an Etsy account, right? Or something like that, and they're making money off of it, but they tell whoever they want to leave that to that they want that shut down. That person actually wants to continue that Etsy thing, keeping up their, their memory or whatever it is, the reason behind it. Do they actually have to shut that down according to the will, or are they allowed to kind of take that over and keep it going?
I mean, the will is a legal document, so whatever that person wants done has to be done. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's kind of how it is. I mean, in that situation, I'm sure that they would talk to them and be like, hey, when you die, I want to take this over. I want to help you with it or something like that. That'd be more conversation to have inside the family than like legally on paper. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. Thank you.
All right. No problem. All right. So that was basically the second type of property you could leave to somebody, a digital asset. The third type of property is remaining tangible personal property. Remaining tangible personal property. Now, this is anything that's like old couches, books, clothes, Tupperware, silverware, dishes, things like that. Stuff that has to be cleaned out of the house, but it's not directly going to go to, certain people. So what you're going to do is you're going to nominate one person. See, it says my remaining tangible personal property shall be distributed to, you put the name of that person, and they're responsible for taking care of it. So they're responsible for having a yard sale or an estate sale or whatever. And it says if this person does not survive me, then it gets distributed to the residuary estate. All right. And the residuary estate is actually the fourth type of property you could leave to somebody. The residuary.
Can you actually leave your remaining tangible personal effects to multiple people, or does it have to be to one specific person? Like, can you leave it to both of your children, essentially?
You can put down, that's why I was saying before, you can put down children or spouse right there, and it will take care of both of them. Does that make sense?
Gotcha. Yeah, that's cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then the last one is the residuary estate. So this is like liquid assets, 401ks, Roth IRAs, pensions, investments, things like that. Everything once you pass away goes to your estate. This is where you would break this 50 grand down. Does that make sense? Everything will be added up in your estate, and then you would break this 50 grand down by who you wanted to give it to. So you can do a certain percentage to this person, a certain percentage to this person. The one thing I'm going to tell you guys here is make sure that your members know that it has to add up to 100% at the bottom there. It sounds like a very small, stupid thing, but if the judge sees it not adding up to 100, he could throw this out because of incompetence, because you didn't fill it out right. All right. So make sure it adds up to 100%. All right. Anybody got questions on article number 3?
100%, or did I just hear you say 200%?
100, 100.
Yeah. Oh yeah, thank you.
Yep,
I have
100.
2 questions.
Yep.
With the 100%, what is it that they're adding? Is that for specifically like the Roth and the 401k?
Yeah. So like, India, good question. So let's say that this person's estate was worth 50 grand, right? Joe's estate's worth 50 grand, and he has 4 kids, and he wants each of them to have 25% of that, right? So 25% there, 25% there, 25% there. Does the percent sign go in front or behind? I don't know. Who cares? All right, 25%. So each one is going to get it goes behind.
Yeah.
So each one of the kids is going to get 25% of that 50 grand. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So everything would be together. Like, let's say he had, $30,000 in life insurance that went there, and he had another, 10 grand in a bank account somewhere, and maybe he had another 10,000 saved in IRAs or anything like that. All of that would add up together to make that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And then my last question is just like,
10% to this person, he's
the
like, make sure to all that
executor can be somebody different than
say 100 or
the
200.
person they want to leave their digital assets to, right? Like the executor doesn't take care of all of that.
Correct.
Okay.
And actually, the next thing down is where you're going to nominate the executor and the digital executor. So article number 4 would be the personal representative or the executor. They're going to nominate 2 of them. There's 2 lines. So the top line, I nominate this person, and it says if that person cannot serve, I nominate this person. So you're going to nominate 2. So there's one for the regular executor, and then there's one for a digital executor as well. They could be the same person. They don't have to be different people, right? But I mean, there's a lot of families out there like mine. Like my little brother is a computer whiz. Like I'm 100% sure that if my mom died, he would be the digital executor. 100%. I hate technology, right? And to be honest, like I'm probably the more responsible one. So I'd probably be the regular executor. It could be the same person, doesn't have to be different. It could be different if it wants. Does that make sense, India?
Yeah, it does make sense.
All right, Vivian, you got a question?
Yes. So what if, let's say, this person is, crazy with the credit cards and buys so many stuff. So her like debt is way more than what she's owing. Who wants to be a part of that? Like if she doesn't, you know what I mean? It's like, what if you have more debt and then this, and then now I say, I'm going to pick someone I don't like and be like, okay, here. So when I die, your debt goes to you instead. They have to sign off, but if nobody signs off because the debt ratio versus what they're getting is like higher,
Yeah, they have to sign off on the executorship of it. They can't just leave it to some random person. And if they don't have a will, typically it goes to next of kin.
Okay.
So someone is going to have to incur that debt some way. Unfortunately, it happens. Like I said, it just happened with my family about a month ago. Luckily, we found a company that's able to kind of liquidate a lot of the stuff that she has. Because I mean, I'm talking like QVC. Like she has like 4 pressure cookers and multiple things of the same thing, and then they've been in storage for years. So like, we had to find a company that would come in there, itemize it, take it all out, sell it, and then hopefully we could pay off what she owed with the rest of that money. But like I said, it happens. you know, having it down on pen and paper will have people actually look at it and know that it's there though, you know. But like I said, the digital executor and the, you know, regular executor, they don't have to be different people. They can be the same person if they want. All right. Next article down is article number 6. It's the nomination of guardian. All right. So you might run into this, probably not, to be honest. A lot of people that request the will kit or the older generation. All right. This would only come into play if that person was the guardian of somebody under the age of 18. Does that make sense? So if they were, like, if the grandmother was the guardian of the grandsons because the parents weren't fit, or the parents are in jail, or they're in a different state, or something like that. If the you know, someone has legal custody of somebody under 18, they need to nominate a guardian to take care of that kid when they pass. If they do not, that child goes into protective services. That kid goes into the system, right? And I've never been in it myself, never heard any crazy stories, but I know for a fact that it's not that they're in that group home for 2 days and they get to go home. They're in there for months while this stuff goes through court. So, and the reason why I tell people to write it down is, once again, guys, the judge is not just going to give your uncle custody of your kids because he's your uncle. It's not how it works. He doesn't know your uncle from a guy down the street. He's not just going to just give him custody. He has to have it written down and notarized in an actual document. That's why that article's there. So I tell, you know, parents, if they have kids that are under 18, just nominate a guardian so that they don't go into the system. Okay. And that's the same thing with article number 7 right after that, the nomination of pet guardian. Right? Pets are like people's kids. Like, I have a dog. My dog's like an old man. He's 12 now. He's like my son. Like, I spent a lot of money on, I spent more money on my dog probably than me, to be honest. Right? So if something were to happen to me, I would want to make sure my dog goes to my family. Because in my situation, my dog is old. If he went to the pound, he wouldn't be there long. I know that. So, and a lot of people that don't have kids have pets. They have cats, they have dogs that they consider their family. So just nominate someone to leave that to. And you can even put down here at the bottom, it says, like, the executor shall give a certain amount of money from their estate to take care of that pet. That person can even leave them money to take care of the pet. All right. So anybody got questions on article number 6 or number 7?
I have a question about how the next of kin is determined. So is there a certain particular order in which, you know, that kind of follows?
It's usually oldest.
Youngest with the kids, or and then it goes to, like, what, siblings, and from there kind of goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah, and then keep in mind too, if they're under 18, they're not going to be on the hook for anything.
Okay. Now, once they reach the age of 18, are they now on the hook for that?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I can talk to some people and figure it out for you though, Gina.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, I could definitely look into that. It's a very good question. I never had it asked to me, so I never really had to kind of look at it yet.
I'm just thinking of, like, a single mom who has no parents, no siblings, nothing, and only has like 1 or 2 kids, you know, and then there's no executor, nothing, and they go into the system, you know, like, then she has debt. Does the debt get passed on once the kids turn 18? I'm just curious. I have no idea. So
I would assume not, though, just because that's a terrible situation to put somebody in, but you never know with, like, the debt that's out there. You know, some debt's forgiven and some's not, you know, that's the thing too. So, but article number 7 and number 8, or no, sorry, article number 8 and number 9, they're what the personal representative and the digital executor's powers are, like what they can do, right? Like, if you look at article number 8 here, the first one, it says power to administer the estate. Gives them power to give things to people, right? So what I usually tell the members there is I say article number 7, or sorry, article number 8 and article number 9, those are the powers that the digital executors and the executor have. So take a couple of minutes and read through that. All right, and then I go right into article 10. Article number 10 is special directives. So this is anything they want done when they pass away. Where they want to go funeral home wise, if they want to be cremated, what they want to wear, who they want to be there, who they don't want to be there, right? What kind of clothing they want to wear. I always tell my members here too, if you guys have any permanent life insurance, put the company, the policy number, and the amount you have there too. All right, pretty easy there, special directives. Article number 11 and number 12, or sorry, it's this 11, there's no 12, that's just 11. 11 is like some miscellaneous provisions. So like what the digital executor and executors can't do. You know, I tell them just a little bit of legal jargon, read through that. All right. The next page is where they're going to notarize this. So in order for this to hold up, they need a notary public to sign this, and they need 2 witnesses to witness that signature. All right. So if they know a notary, great. Tell them to go there. If they don't, every single bank has a notary on hand. They have to. Right? So what I tell my members is another good way to figure out if you didn't ask for a bank before, you're going to ask for it right here. I would say, now, Joe, the way they recommend getting this notarized is to go to your bank. So Joe, who do you bank with right now? And whoever he says he banks with, say, okay, great. They have, you know, they actually have a notary public on hand. So what you're going to do is you're going to fill all this out. You're going to take it to the bank and you're going to have them notarize it for you. The reason why I tell them to go to the bank is because there's 2 witnesses already built into that process. They'll grab 2 bank tellers and tell them to come over and sign this. Or they'll grab 2 people in line and say, hey, can you come witness this real quick? Reason why I say that is because witnesses should not be anybody that's in the will. They should not be part of your family. They should not be your friends, not relatives. They shouldn't even be your neighbor. They should just be random ass strangers. Does that make sense? The mailman. If the mailman comes up, can you witness this? Yeah, that's perfect. Mailman works. Right? But the reason why I'm saying that is because the bank, number one, they'll notarize it. Typically, if you're a member with the bank, they'll do it for free. Right? Or you can go to like I know that the City Hall building has a notary public and it's $1. Right? So they get that notarized on the top there. The top part is their information, tester name and the signature, 2 witnesses, and then the notary signs it and stamps it right here. So that part right there is the actual will itself, right? But the will kit is a will and a living will, so it's both, right? Now, do you guys know the difference between a will and a living will?
Like if you weren't to die, but like you weren't able to like handle things yourself, you were kind of like in a state.
Yes, good, okay. So that's very good. So on the next page, it tells you like what a living will would do. So a living will and a will, they differ in basically one way. The living will, you're alive. The will, you're dead.
Well, that's
Right. So the will takes care of things after you pass away. The living will is only going to kick in if you're both mentally and physically incapacitated, have a terminal condition, an end state condition, or in a persistent vegetative state. It says it right here in this first little part here. Right? So they're not able to think, breathe, act, feel for themselves. And so they're going to nominate some person to take care of that for them. The second, the hospitals. I mean,
What was the question? Sorry.
she asked who determines if that person's in that state. Like if they're in the state of incapacitation, you know, that would kick in. This would be in like extreme situations to where they're on like feeding tubes and you know, in a coma or something like that. Does that make sense? Okay. Now the part B on there, it says nutrition and hydration. So that's if they want to receive like artificial like food and stuff through a feeding tube and water and that type of thing, right? They click yes or no right there. Pregnancy, super rare, but if that happens, you can read that through with them. The part that I focus on here is other requests. So other requests are things like if they're like, it's against my religion to receive blood transfusions or something like that, or I do not want to be resuscitated, or, you know, like because of this, I do not want to receive chemotherapy for treatment or something like that. You know, they could put what they kind of don't want done there. Does that make sense? So there's a lot of different things they could put in there. And then in the will kit, the workbook, it has a very like good description of what they could put in there, like a bunch of different examples. Okay. Part number 2 of that is the designation of the healthcare surrogate. So who's going to take care of the person that's in this state? Right? They're going to nominate 1 surrogate and they're going to nominate 2 alternatives. So 3 people, 1 healthcare surrogate and then 2 alternates. Now, part B of that and part C of that are the limitations and the authorities of that healthcare surrogate. So what they can and can't do. Do you not want to be taken off the feeding tubes? Do you not want to be, you know, taken off the iron lung? When's it okay to pull the plug? Right? All that stuff will go into that section. And then the last part there, once again, you're going to have a notary sign this and 2 witnesses sign it as well. Same thing there. Right? And then the page after that, page 12, that's Schedule A. That's where all the information for the digital assets are going to go. And that's it. That's it for the will kit. Right? Now, with the will kit, I always ask, at the end here, I stop them and I ask them, you know, now are there any questions on how to fill out your will at all? You guys have any questions on this at all? And they'll tell me no. And at that point, I tell them, now guys, when you finalize it and put everything into the green copy, what they suggest is that you make 4 copies of this. Right? You keep 1 copy with you at the house.
I'm upset I didn't get to see this in person. This is pretty good.
It's some of the less boring stuff because it's actually stuff you gotta teach.
So wait, I was actually,
Any question?
yeah, I've never seen like the will kit like actually presented. So I know, and I heard from Matt Hunsberger today, like the no cost benefits shouldn't be taking that long to get through, 15-20 minutes to get through them.
Correct.
But how the hell do you get through all that information in the will in a relatively short amount of time, other than, you know, fill this out, get it notarized, and if you guys have any questions, just let me know, but it should be pretty self-explanatory.
So I'm actually gonna send you this right now.
Was it the short video that you were talking about? Okay.
Forward. Where is it? What's your email?
Charles Allen, ALLENW 46 at Gmail. You were right about not taking a break. They're positive.
Just kind of rip it. So I'll send you this, and then you'll have the PDF of the will kit itself. I just went over. Okay. And then there's a link right here. You click that recording, and then the password's right here. It'll give you like kind of it's like a 50-minute video.
Okay.
There's like 30 minutes of it of him explaining kind of like I did, and then there's a 10-minute explanation of it. So you can do it with the customer in the house for 10 minutes. So he does the quick one. Even when I go through it, it takes maybe 10 minutes because I just go over there's things that I just went over. I'll be drawn out.
This is good. I've been taking a lot of notes on all of it. And my other question was, why do you do child safe kit, then discount card, then the family, the FIG, and then the will kit?
So I do it from least intrusive to most intrusive, or least about life insurance to most about life insurance. So it's an easy step method to it, right? I know some teams give them that A, B, and D first, right? But my thought on this is, let's just say, for example, that you love funnel cake, right? And we go to the amusement park, and it's a big ass amusement park with a bunch of roller coasters and a bunch of fun stuff to do.
Right.
But you are only focused on funnel cake. And it's the first thing you do, you go right to the funnel cake. Right? You eat your funnel cake. What are you gonna do the rest of the time? Right?
Yeah.
So if I'm going into it sick and they're thinking, oh, I just need this AD&D certificate, and they get it, I'm not gonna be paying attention the rest of the time. Right? So I hold it off a little bit, they can go through a few things, then go over the AD&D and then go over their life insurance. You know?
Okay.
So it honestly doesn't matter what order you put them in.
I was just wondering why you did it this way.
I do it that way a lot because I used to run a lot of child save too. So I would have a child save up front just to get them to pay attention and then collect referrals too. One of the easiest places to collect referrals are apartments, child save.
I haven't really been able to figure this out. So if somebody requests a child safe kit or a will, call them up, get them, sit down, whatever. Do you go over everything else? You just give them a different reason why they're there?
Yeah, so the main reason why the child safe program exists is because one of the biggest unions that we represent is the police union. And as their campaign, you know, this is a national campaign to get these out to as many families as they can. And as a way of saying thank you for protecting your kids, they actually open up their exclusive life insurance benefits, you know, to you guys as well. So I'll go over that in a bit here. And I tell life insurance in the first 5 minutes.
I like how you did that because the script is just like all additional permanent benefits.
It works with union members, but when you have a child safe, it's a little different. You gotta kind of, you don't want them to feel like you're backdooring them into life insurance.
So regardless of what it is, you just, you know, start off with that and then, you know, go in through everything else and just business as normal.
Yeah, and then, I mean, I kind of, when I'm going through the no-cost stuff, I kind of tailor it to that person. So if I know that they're a young single person with no kids, they're like 22 years old, they don't know shit about kids, I'm not gonna go over the child safety kids that much.
You're not gonna worry about the will too much either.
The only time I give somebody who wills if they request it.
Oh, really?
I don't give it to them, I mean, no, because we don't have 30,000 at the office to give out. We only have them for the people that request them.
Oh.
You know?
So in the script, I could just skip over like the whole part about the will and just go right into the needs analysis.
Yeah, unless they're a will kit, unless they, you know, fill out for a will kit, yeah. Yeah, but if they're not, if they're like a union member, then, I mean, you can give them the will kit if you want, build some extra credibility with the company, but at the end of the day, we don't have 30,000 will kits to give out. Only have to pay for this.
All right, thank you.
Keep one copy with your attorney or your executor, or your attorney or your law team. You keep one copy with your executor, and then one copy with your healthcare provider. So everybody that is going to be in this will has access to it.
Or what was that last person?
Health provider.
Healthcare surrogate.
Health.
Or healthcare provider, sorry. Yes. And then off that, you can collect referrals from that too, guys. You guys can say, hey, you know, I know you guys got your will set up now. You went through the process of it. It was a pretty smooth, easy process, right? Now, do you know anybody that has been trying to look to design their will or has been looking into their will? Chances are, if they're doing it, they know people that are doing it too. Chances are. Right? So don't be afraid to ask them for referrals right then and there too. Like will kit referrals are great, guys. I would never downplay a will kit lead at all either. It's about 50-50. 50% of the time you're going to see them and they're going to have a lot of coverage and they're going to have what they need. 50% of the time they're going to have nothing. And chances are they're thinking about it. No one sat down with them and explained how it works to them. All right, that's what sets our company aside, guys. That's why our no-cost benefits are important. This is what sets our company aside from others. Our education and our knowledge base behind everything. Not every, like, I don't know if you guys know this or not, I'll end with this, but when most people get life insurance, what they do is they type on the computer, they go to a website, and they look at numbers. And they see a big number up here for a small number over here, and they go, yep, I want that one. $500,000 for 20 bucks a month. Yes, click that. They have no idea what the hell that even is or what it covers. That's because they're not experts. So guys, become experts, right? as much knowledge as you can get. It's going to build your control. It's going to build your knowledge base, and they're going to see you as experts, and they'll just listen to everything you do. All right. If you do the presentation right, you really should not hear any rebuttals. They should just pick an option. All right. If they see if there's a need and they know the need's there, they should just pick an option. All right. I know we're about 5 minutes over. So, I mean, if you guys have any questions, I'm here for that. If not, I'll let you guys go. But make sure everyone puts their emails in the group chat, please.
Got it.
Is there two seasons in there? You say two? Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, sometimes it's Hickman. I thought you said Hickman. That's why I asked the question. Hickman Racing, 21. You know, someone said, like, no, it's not the argument time, that's 85 times. 7 on tomorrow, that's Friday. And we're supposed to have quality information. Oh, there you go. At the agency.com. That's right. It's amazing. Yeah, so last night, I was on the night away from 4 o'clock in the morning. I was like checking my story. I was like, just hired she is a professional athlete. She has some sort of what sport? Basketball. But you got wrong. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Or is it literally just us? How do you think that's gonna hurt my development? You're an animal. Is that like so we treat we should? Giving you a call in regards to Lakeisha Bush. Is she trying to give you a call? My name is Patrick with American Income, and I'm giving you a call in regards to Lakeisha Bush. She let you know I'm giving you a call? You all right? On behalf of Lakeisha Bush, and she let you know I'm giving you a call. Oh, you know, she's gonna have to buy some dinner, and that's what we had there, but more or less, I was actually sitting down with Lakeisha the other day, and I delivered her some union benefits. And she asked me at the end if she could sponsor some people in the benefit program, and she thought of you right away, so I'm guessing you two are like pretty close? Okay, awesome, yeah, I know they're on a Zoom call, and she had her two kids that are running around. I'm sure you know how that goes sometimes, but more or less, I won't take up too much of your time. One of the benefits you want to get out was actually called the health service discount card. And that saves our members all the way up to 85% off of health insurance that is covered. So that saves you money on prescription medications, diabetic supplies, and much more. Okay, does that make sense?